Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Does Age Appropriate Mean for You? I'm Dana Todd. I am the founder and CEO of Balodana. Balodana is the first online shopping experience that is 100% made to measure clothing. So basically what we've done is taken everything you love about Macy's, but instead of that awful sizing conundrum that you have to go through over and over again, everything's made to measure. So I am the founder of the company. We just launched this year, and I'm 54 years old, which I think gives me a little bit of a right to talk about fashion and certainly about age appropriate. But I'd really like to share a little bit about my personal journey and how I got here. And then let's just start talking about you, and let's talk about how to make you feel comfortable in any age and in any skin. So this is kind of a collage of my probably my most confident fashion decade, my 30s. Believe it or not, only one of these is a Halloween costume. The bubble wrap and the tinfoil get up right there. That was my diva Dana persona as part of early internet culture. Back then, my body was firm, my budget was growing, and I had a very active and fashionable social life that let me explore a lot of different personas in my styles. You can see I had an awful lot of fun back then. And so I continued up until suddenly one day I woke up and this was me. So how did I get here? Fast forwarding through menopause, 20 years. And well, I think some of you on this webinar are probably right here too. And that's why you came today. There's usually a reason why we start asking ourselves or even talking about age appropriate in the first place. Either we're newly single and we want to look sexy, or maybe we're going through a career transition, or maybe like me, you made a few other life changes and you woke up to discover one day that you've been making decisions in your wardrobe that just don't make you feel young and confident anymore. So most people in their 20s and 30s, frankly, don't think too much about age appropriate. It's usually something that comes up in your maybe late 30s and into your 40s and beyond, particularly after you have kids, you start thinking about, well, how do I look good on date night, for example? Or how do I go out for that next big career move? I'm up for a promotion or a new job. So typically when we worry about dressing age appropriate, we're really concerned about either dressing too young or what we perceive as too young for our bodies and faces, and potentially looking silly maybe, or like we're trying too hard. We all saw this. There was an entire TV show called Cougars, which I think all of us cringe at. Or we're worried that we're dressing too old. Maybe we're losing our edge and our attractiveness. We don't seem hip, particularly if, like me, you work in tech and God forbid you wear anything but a hoodie. So the good news is that you don't have to dress like a cougar to be sexy at any age, and you don't have to look like a granny or Mark Zuckerberg to be comfortable and fun. You can actually find and explore your style personality at any age, and it's always appropriate as long as you do it with style. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. If you're planning some wardrobe changes, let's look at the key components now of how we plan for and buy our clothes. We typically, when we look for clothing, the three biggest impacts, other than price, of course, we're not going to talk about price here, but these are the three biggies: comfort, style, and the occasion. I'm going to unpack these one at a time. So first, there are no don'ts. I don't want to actually say don't right there, right? I don't want to have a lot of rules for you guys because I really want you to think about creating your own sets of rules, what's correct for you. But there are a few things that in general are going to affect you at any age. So first of all, fit is a critical element of looking good. You really, and it's the foundation of our whole company. If something doesn't fit you right, as our young lady here on the right demonstrates, you may be more than age inappropriate. You may just be downright inappropriate. Don't wear frayed or pilled clothing, anything damaged unless it's intentional, right? So we've just gone through this period of time where everybody's wearing ripped jeans. That's actually ending right now. So you can toss yours and go back to just making sure that everything is well taken care of. If it feels right for you to have a personal brand thing like funky glasses or a certain color, that's fine, but you should expect that it may pigeonhole you, as particularly as you get older. If you've been wearing it for a long time, like I have a friend who wears nothing but purple and she's kind of stuck with that now. She doesn't have a lot of room for maneuvering. Don't ask your friends to help dress you unless you want to emulate their style, because as you know, they can probably be a little bit, well, maybe judgmental in some cases, but more likely than not, they're just not necessarily you. They don't know you. They don't know what's inside your head. Don't follow trends necessarily, but do invest, if there's something really that you like that's trendy, invest in small items to add a fresh look. So you're going to be investing in longer term pieces that you're going to be wearing for the next 10 or 20 years, but you want to keep them fresh by maybe having a unique pair of shoes or a particular jewelry item that definitely makes it seem a lot fresher. And last but not least, don't be afraid, because A, I'm here for you, and B, you're going to rock this. You really are. So let's unpack comfort. What we say when we say, I like to dress for comfort, right? I know a lot of people, I do. I mean, I have to admit it. I love being comfortable, right? And what I mean when I say I just dress for comfort, it's about waistbands, right? We know it's waistbands, pinch points, something being a little too tight across the chest. It's really about our bodies not quite fitting into the clothes that we have. Also, it has to do with the fabric itself. We have a tendency right now to buy a lot of stretch. Fabrics that stretch, they're soft and fuzzy, they feel good to us, but they may not ultimately really do a good job at defining our bodies. So we are hiding our true body shape in many cases. The gentle tarping that we wear to hide, especially if you're post-menopause or if you've had any kind of weight gain, you may tend to hide in tentier clothes. But you're really not necessarily helping yourself, because in reality, very few bodies, thin or larger, are flattered by loose, shapeless clothing. Even some of the most plus size customers that I've worked with can absolutely wear something tailored and look fantastic. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable to be tailored. And last but not least, in terms of risks for wearing things that are a little too soft, a little too flowy, is that we may feel over feminized and not as powerful in a career situation. This is particularly for women who may have vice president or C-level jobs, where they're frequently kind of having to have a seat at the boardroom or in a group of men where you don't want to be perceived as too feminine. I know that's reverse sexism, but that's like a whole other webinar. So let's just stick with what we got. So the reality is, this is how most of us dress today when we talk about comfort. Casual, it's not particularly attentive to our body fit. And especially after children, we find ourselves moving towards these type of garments, and that they have feminine color palettes. They hide our middles and our arms. They might have more modest designs because now that we're a mom, we can't show any skin, right? So there's nothing wrong with any of these. By the way, I probably have at least one, maybe two of these items myself in my closet. It's your style. It's your style that's ultimately all you, and your body is all yours, but you came here today for a reason. And I suspect it's because you're not quite happy with your current options and approaches to your wardrobe. So what I'd like to present to you is some basic training on how to think about your style choices, and maybe how you can introduce some fresh ideas and pieces to give you a fresh perspective. So I too, by the way, found that after menopause hit me early at 45, that I was slowly evolving into a different person style-wise than when I was younger. So you saw those pictures earlier. And it happens to all of us that it's not overnight that we just we realize we've had these decisions that have gone over and on, that we've somehow little by little culled our wardrobe to only include these type of things. So what I'd encourage you is do the reverse now and start one by one rebuilding your wardrobe in a way that's going to make you feel more confident. So let's talk about things that are comfortable and stylish, right? So there are lots of options that count as both. So these are all from various Balodana designers and tailors. So you can see at a glance, the things don't have to be skin tight to be considered well-fitting. The top left is Lino Piani. It's a London tailor who's made outfits for celebrities, and he's fantastic. He's been doing this for many, many years. He can make even a simple suit look luxurious, fancy, and details, by the way, like a silk lining inside, even a tightly fitted blazer, can allow you to have full movement. It makes things not feel so scrunchy on you. The second image is one from a designer named Aista, who works in sustainable linen to create sculptures and textures in the cloth. The result here is that it's flowy, but structured looking at the same time, right? And it's very comfortable and it's stylish. The mustard dress is an A-line from Tavroska, a Ukrainian designer that we work with. This silhouette is so fantastic on almost any body type. And because the waistline isn't pinched, that belt in front is really just a half faux belt. It's attached at the front. It's extremely comfortable. You can just, you don't have to really think about it pinching you at all. Last image is from Shantima, another designer who works in linen, to show you that even something that is very loose can still look stylish and young. It doesn't have to look like a sack on you. So, style. Let's start with the fact that style is personal. So again, I always want you to urge yourself inside to go explore who you really are, not who I tell you you are, not who your friends tell you you are, and not who the magazines tell you should be at any age, right? So your style can be wildly different at the age of 50 or 70 or 30 or 20, but you should have the freedom to do all of those, because style itself, if you look at just the nature of style, it's not young or old. When we say someone has style, they just have style, right? It's not like they have an old style or they have a young style. They just have style. And then style should evolve with you. As I mentioned earlier, you're not necessarily the same person you are physically in your 20s, but maybe there's some things in your brain that could come forward with you and maybe evolve it a little bit. Let's talk about how we might want to do that. So first of all, let's think about what is your style personality. The beauty of women's fashion is that you can literally embrace every single one of these looks every day of the week, especially if you have a busy life that has work, exercise, play, and social activities on a regular basis. These are all, by the way, designs that we carry. So you can see the idea of having things fitted or custom made does not have to be just a suit. We really lost out here in America by not having dressmakers the way we used to. It used to be that women had all of their clothes custom made. It wasn't, just for special occasions. And so what that allowed you to do was really explore every part of your style personality and not have to worry about fit. So let's just talk a little bit about who you are inside. If someone asks you to define your style, what's the prevalent theme that you think of? Like, for example, if you just had to wear one outfit the rest of your life, what would it be? And if you say yoga pants and an oversized t-shirt, then we are done here. So maybe I should paraphrase or rephrase it rather. If you had to just wear one outfit to work and to romance and to play, what would that be? So maybe if you give that a little bit of thought, that should tell you, like, where does your instinct go? Where is the place that you feel most comfortable and most powerful and with the most flexibility in your wardrobe? Really trying to get here, what is your style DNA? And one other exercise that you can do is go back to when you were 20, and maybe the most confident thing you had back then was a tube top. And I think I had some pretty sexy outfits back then. But what I would say is that the things that made me feel most confident in my 20s were pieces that were vintage or had a very unique edge to them. I didn't like looking like everybody else. I always wanted to have creative accessories and creative use of color and texture in my wardrobe. That hasn't changed at all. And so when I think about what I loved in my 20s, those are the things that now in my 50s that I'm gravitating towards. And those are the things I really want to pull through into my new self. So ask yourself why. Again, what was it you loved about those outfits in your 20s? Was it the color? Was it something that had a particular personality attribute? Was it very, very sexy, or was it very, very modest? Any of these things can help you understand where you're going to be most confident. And so now let's think about how you can put that into your wardrobe now. So example, if you were a jock, if you felt much more, on the sporty side of things, you would be amazed at some of the new fabrics that they're putting into suits and clothing now. It's not just about like yoga stretchy stuff. There's some very cool high-tech fabrics that they're using in suits and in dresses that give you that cool, edgy look, but still have that same sense of sport that you like and the same kind of cuts and angles to it. If you were a rocker and a rebel, try throwing on your rocker t-shirt with a pencil skirt, or wear a leather jacket with your pencil skirt, something that helps bring that edge in, but then gives it a little bit of a surprise, a little bit more of a grown-up look. One of the funniest new trends this fall is the combination of feminine dressing with combat boots, which is frankly something we used to rock in the 80s. It's kind of fun to see that come back again, and I, for one, intend to rock it myself. So these are a few style icons that I totally love. So when you think about pushing you, these may not be you. Maybe you're Helen Mirren over there. So Helen Mirren's probably the most age appropriate person. She always just looks great, right? She looks great at the Oscars. She looks great walking around the house. She just always seems to be well put together. Some of the other folks you may not necessarily know. Over there on the left in the overalls is Lynn Slater. She runs a fantastic blog called The Accidental Icon. And then there's artist Michelle Lamy, who's 71, would you believe, the one in the middle there, looking like a punk rocker. And then also in the upper right, Iris Apfel, who is 98 years old and still looking amazing. So now let's talk about occasions, because one of the reasons why people look for clothes in the first place is, well, because you're going to buy, you got something coming up, right? So let's talk a little bit about where you might have an occasion that would cause you to need some new clothes. So first of all, work, where we spend most of our time, those of us who do work. Let's talk about whether you're dressing old or young. One of the fears that a lot of people have, a lot of women have as we kind of get on up there is looking too old for our job. There's always a fear of discrimination anyway in the workforce. And what you don't want to do is suddenly be the next in line for a demotion or a layoff just because all the whippersnappers look more hip than you. When in reality, you know how hip you are, right? And additionally, let's talk about gender a little bit. I alluded to it earlier with that softer dressing. You might be dressing a little too masculine or too feminine. Again, I use the words too, not as a judgment, but just to help you think about why you got here today. So what is it that's making you uncomfortable? What is your fear? And what would happen if you started switching it up? Maybe in a subtle way, maybe in a dramatic way. And then looking around, who are your heroes in your business, either at your work or in your industry? How do they dress? Is there anything from them that you can take in as advice or a little inspiration for yourself? Now, special events, frankly, are where most people end up calling us. Help, I've got a wedding I've got to go to, or I'm turning 60 and I need to look fabulous, or I'm turning 40, whatever it is, or I finally got my kids off to grade school. I have some time. But let's talk about special events, because that's usually the time when women have the most opportunity to think about and fantasize what they want to look like. So let's try tweaking things instead of the usual. I know most all of us have at least one of these, the cocktail dress that's covered with sequins and it looks just like everyone else's cocktail dress, and it's basically just a slightly grown-up version of a prom dress. So let's think about doing something different, like maybe a ladies tux. So for example, this is a beautiful velvet tux that we carry from Sumisura, and it can really make you feel confident to wear something that's so just like edgy, and it's also very comfortable at the same time. And you can make it sexier, by the way. So sexy is not a bad thing, especially at a special event. Sometimes it's the only time we get to get out there and rock our cleavage, right? So you could wear a tux like this, but with a low cami or a slightly sheer shirt, and be able to feel a lot sexier without being all out there, and potentially inappropriate, particularly if it's someplace where you might run into a work colleague. And in general, at a special event, you think about if you want to stand out or blend in. If you want to blend in, totally fine to blend in. But I think you're here today because you want to stand out. And so give yourself permission to wear a different color than you normally wear. Put on a higher heel than you might normally wear. Do something a little bit different so you can really test out stretching your wings. And last, vacation and resort is another opportunity that a lot of women go like, oh my God, I'm going to a resort, or I'm going to a destination wedding, and I want to just look fabulous the whole time, but I don't want to have to pack a million things. So when you think about all the packing, it's probably easiest to think about making a theme for yourself. So for example, if it's a Hawaiian vacation, the obvious is, yes, wear with all things Hawaiian and flowery, but maybe you do something different. Maybe you go with there used to be a beach theme art school on the beach, right? So wearing just all black and looking very New York's edgy city, but comfortable on a beach. That would definitely get people's attention. I'm not saying you need to do that, But basically, if you think about a theme for yourself, it does kind of give you something to pin ideas on, and it's more fun, and it definitely makes packing easier. So for example, here's some quick things from our catalog. The skirt on the left is a really practical option for women who have to do a lot of events. You don't want to have to keep buying a new dress all the time. So this is actually a skirt, and you can pair this with a sexy top as shown, or you could use like a cropped sweater or an off shoulder. It's very versatile, and you can get through a lot of different seasons with it. If you're going to a cocktail party, like our second model is, this is a jumpsuit. So jumpsuits are kind of amazing. I didn't used to love jumpsuits, but now I kind of do, because I feel like you can wear them at any age and it doesn't make you look like you're trying too hard to look young. It definitely has a youthful feeling about it. At the same time, you can buy a modest one or like a slightly sexy one, like this is with the one shoulder off. This also comes in a version where it has both shoulders fluttery. And it has a nice detail at the sleeve, which helps kind of mask the upper arm area for those of us who are a little bit more sensitive about that area. If you have a job interview, yeah, you wear that navy blue suit, but you could also rock something completely amazing, like this floral suit from Zaza. There's some really cool suits out there right now, and you don't have to be boring and staid. And you can also switch it up by, wearing the blazer with jeans or something like that. Casual job interviews these days are becoming a little bit more common. And finally, like I said about our vacation, this particular caftan happens to be one of the most comfortable things you can imagine. You can throw it on, it's two pieces. So the caftan piece is separate. You can throw it on over a swimsuit, or you can wear it with the little underdress underneath and wear it to a cocktail party, or just wear it around the beach and loll by the pool. A lot of different things you can do. Now, these are all age appropriate. They don't look old or stuffy or staid, and every one of them is very comfortable and fun to wear. So in conclusion, and by the way, this is me now after I've come through the desert of the gentle tarping that I used to wear, wearing a much more fitted dress made for me by Sam Shack. So in conclusion, you are not a number or an age. You are yourself, and you are size you. Appropriate is self-defining and self-limiting, by the way. So you can limit yourself, and so don't do that. Try something new to push yourself out of your rut. Even small changes can really give you a phenomenal new feeling. It's just a little thing can really add up. And finally, I want to ask you to send me your questions or even ask for a free style consult. We're very happy to help you out and to give you some ideas, help you navigate custom clothing, or even just talk in general about finding your inner style DNA and how to express it through your clothes today. So thank you so very much for attending. My email is dana.todd@balodana.com. That's BALODANA. Thanks for coming today.